Hello, welcome to my tutorial on a automatic shulker blocks replacement system. I will also be explaining how it works, and I'm going to start off by building it. You're going to want to start off with a block with a sticky piston next to it. On top of that, you're going to want to place a temporary block with two trapdoors attached to it. You're going to break that and replace it with a sandstone slab. On top of this trapdoor, you want to place a block, and on the side as well, with a comparator on top of that, with a sticky piston right there, another temporary block right there, with a slab on the bottom of it. Afterwards, you're going to want to head to the bottom and place an observer pointing that way into a repeater sitting on top of a block on 2 ticks delay. Observer looking into that sticky piston, facing into an oak shelf, another observer and oak shelf combi right there, a block right there, another observer right there with a sticky piston and a composter. Observer looking into that sticky piston with a comparator on top, and then another block right there. Now, for the next part, ladders right there, pumpkin pie into the composter. You can use any other fermentable item. Just make sure there's at least one layer in there and you're fine. Next, a dropper and then a dispenser, and a hopper facing into that dropper right there. Next, the carpet on top of the comparator and a stop button over this piston to initialize it later. Then you can place a chest right there, a double chest filled with shulker boxes, and then you can head to the next item slot, which is a bunch of glass just to contain it. It doesn't have to be glass, but I think it looks nice. Blocks in this formation right there, so 3 like that, and another one on top of there, and then 2 to block off the sides, another 3 to block off the sides here, and then 1 more on top of there, so it's all contained. Then you can place the 2 water block buckets right there, and then you're done. Now, to initialize it, you have to press this button twice. So now it should activate, and then whenever you take the last item out of the shulker box, it will break and fall down this hole, which you can place a collection system down here. You can use water streams or hoppers or whatever way you like. Now this should be almost entirely foolproof. There is an incredibly small chance that an item, aka a shulker box, will fall down in between this gap or in between this gap, but it's incredibly rare and I've only seen it happen once or twice. All right, so let me show you how it works. First off, you have the shulker box. Let me take freeze, and then take step. Once you take this item out of the shulker box, the next thing that happens is this comparator turns off, which pulls back this piston with this observer. This will then pulse this repeater, like so. And then after 2 ticks, it will activate this piston, pushing up the slab and breaking the shulker box, which immediately will activate this observer right there, which activates this oak shelf. And then that will be detected by the observer, which will power this oak shelf, which will be detected by this observer. Meanwhile, this piston gets pulled back and another pulse gets sent through. This piston will spit out the composter, turning off this comparator, which will let 1 shulker box through into the dropper right there. And then the second pulse will arrive, activating the piston again, and will also activate the dropper and dispenser, which makes the shulker box appear right there. And it will then turn back on the comparator, which makes sure that only one item gets let through in a single cycle, which means most, if not, aside from this shulker box right here, will be either grabbable through this large chest or will be right here in order for you to collect your items. So let's see that fast. And let's see how fast it is. And then it's pretty fast, as you can see. It gets rid of all of the shulker boxes and you can recollect them all. It doesn't just burn them in lava, which is, you know, inconvenient. I hope you like this tutorial / explanation, and I'll see you in the next one.